What's up, y'all? Welcome to Voice Lab. Today, what we're going to talk about is something that I discovered this past weekend in a voice lesson that allowed me to reliably find and engage support in my Passaggio and get the coordination that I am looking for at C, C sharp, D, up through E to then G and A, sometimes even above. This is really important because, especially for somebody in my voice type, those notes is right where either the emphatic, money, meaty parts of a piece are, and or they are critical to set up the even more money, meaty parts of the piece, the high notes. So what happens if you don't get this right is you are either going to overcover or you're going to splat. And this is something that I talked about recently, but there's multiple parts to this. So as useful as it is to be able to just know that you can drop your jaw a little bit more and be able to find that sweet spot between overcovering and splatting open, make it sound nice, controlled, virile, and expressive while still being not, splatted, still being elegant. Knowing what you're doing down here in the support area is critical so that you don't have to contort and mess around with everything above in order to make that happen, which is going to lock up your voice, mess things up, be ugly to watch, ugly to listen to. So what we're going to do is warm up from a couple of steps or half steps below where this is going to come in. All right. So you know the drill. Oh. Yeah, it's a little bit push. We're going to go back. Okay, we're getting right about to the point where I'm like, that top note doesn't quite know where it belongs. Doesn't know who it is yet. Doesn't know what it's trying to be. So, let's do that one more time. This is not dissimilar from lifting. Of course. Where I know that the next note, the next half step up, is where I'm really going to be out of my depth if I don't start doing this thing that I uncovered. So this is this is without that discovery. A little thin, a little shallow, a little bit too forward feeling for what I'm looking for. So what I've got to do is be able to basically engage some lean, engage some appoggio. But in order for me to, like, everywhere below this, I can have that going and not really think about it too much. It's just kind of default. But right there, I need to start leaning a little bit more. In order to have access to that a little bit more, I've got to then turn on some other muscle groups. This is exactly like my philosophy, which is just borrowed from or learned from Strong First, in that you need to irradiate tension. What this looks like is, for example, if, the way that they teach this, the way that I explain this to people is if you hold out your hand to shake it, squeeze as hard as you can, you're going to get, let's say, for example, ease of numbers, 100 PSI. That's if you're just squeezing this hand. Now, if you hold out your hand, you do the same thing, and in your other hand, you're squeezing your other hand as hard as you can, squeeze this again, you might get 200 PSI. What that tells us is that you engage other muscle groups and you get more output from the one that you're trying to engage. So what I'm doing here, all that I'm thinking about, once I get to this spot where I know it's going to get a little bit unwieldy, to get the amount of lean that I'm looking for is, as always, again, just like lifting, just like good posture, I'm removing at all times all anterior pelvic tilt. Most people stand like this for a lot of reasons. So I've got my butt tucked under. The cue that I like to use is point your belly button to your sternum. Got this going at all times. Now, once we get to this point where I feel things start to get unwieldy, where that top note is at the beginning of the passaggio, all I'm going to do is, another cue that I can borrow from the gym, I'm gonna root myself into the ground a little bit more. This is external hip rotation, like for example, a squat or military press, or really, again, anything, because you wanna have these dials turned up a little bit, or at least on, at all times. Turning this up, externally rotating, is gonna give me easier access to turning on my glutes a little bit more, turning on my quads, calves, etc., which means I can more easily isolate and then engage right here, right about where we're feeling that lean. So, la, 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 la. One of the shocking things is you're like, oh wait, that's a little bit louder. I thought that was going to be. It's louder than it was before. Okay. Yeah, well, we're learning. At some point, I'll be able to dial that back. Well, let's just see, since we're here. Okay, so it works. The difference between that one with more engagement, which I just did, and the one before I had all that, what I referred to when I was training people as the dials. Glutes, lats, abs, grip, leg. What did I have in there? Yeah. Glutes, lats, abs, grip. Legs? Can't remember what my acronym was. When I have the dials turned on, what I feel is this sort of vacuum, this suction that allows for that sound to go right where I want it to be and be as controlled as I want it to be, while still having all the space and all the brilliance that I'm looking for. Whereas without it, I get one or none of those things. Mostly I just get the brilliance. The brilliance without it, everything else is going to be a thinner sound. And we want that richness. We want all of the overtones in there. So, let's go on. That was right? There was no consistent. I want that lean to stay consistent in between both of those intervals so that the sound can be continuous. Now that I'm starting to get into the top, out of the passaggio, what I've got to remember for what I'm working on, where I'm at, in addition to incorporating this new sensation, is not manipulating, not making a bunch of space as I go up, which is what I did for years. So how are you getting, oh, the more backspace we're going to have. No. Without that backspace, I'm still hitting that note. What it feels like to me is squeezing toothpaste through a tube. Doesn't have to make sense to everybody. But as long as you know the sensation that makes sense for you, that is correct, then you can chase it, acquire it more reliably, as in singing, as in lifting, as in anything else. That was not connected, pushed like crazy. Take a little reset, chill. Hear it. I think we're going to do a little better next time. Which is going to be not push here. And all the push that I wanted here, I'm just going to have here, which means I need to turn the dials up on that external rotation, on the legs, on the grip, gripping with my toes, by the way. That grip from your toes is what gives the permission to your legs, to your glutes, to everything to fire. what that was because I still don't have a piano. Now, what we're going to do today is something that's higher for me than I know I can normally knock out of the park. One of the first arias that I attempted to sing, when my then board of directors was like, "You are a baritone. You are not a bass baritone. You should sing Billy Budd and Pagliacci." And I was like, perfect. I think Silvio's Excerpt is the most beautiful piece of music for the baritone. Maybe in all of classical music. No, not for all of classical music, but God, it's so beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the second part of this aria. E allor perché di tu m'hai stregato, and see if we can maintain everything that's good here without lapsing into bad habits. Now, my speaker, Sonos Roam, refuses to connect. Sonos kind of sucks. So what we got then is the iPad. Maybe let's give the Sonos one more try. I just hate that this thing can't just simply connect. What a stupid, self-centered product. Yeah. It's going to be no dice. Well, allor perché di tu m'hai stregato, se vuoi lasciarmi senza pietà. See, I don't like the way that E flat feels. Did not feel connected. That felt shallow and splatted. But I liked how open it was because we don't want it to be se vuoi lasciarmi. So let's see if we can split the difference there. Allor perché di tu m'hai stregato, se vuoi lasciare. Oh no. Well, I guess what has to happen here? Drop the jaw. Okay. More engagement just a little bit before. No space. Se vuoi lasciarmi. So I think I'm going to have to concede that there's going to be some cover sensation in there. What I'm thinking there is we've got that ah. I'm just going to think a little bit of ooh on top of it, right? This is like there's the ah vowel and then the ooh, just informing it, almost like it's an ah, then being filtered through an ooh space or through the idea of the ooh. E allor perché di tu m'hai stregato, se vuoi lasciarmi senza pietà, quel bacio tu perché me l'hai dato, fra spasmi ardenti ti voluto. I miss having an accompanist. As much as I love accompanist. Io non lo posso e voglio ancor, fra spasmi ardenti quei caldi baci che tanto per. Hey. See, this is where it's like, am I really this voice? I don't know, because out of context, I can nail these lines. Let's see. Some of this is like, am I thinking too much? What if I just let it go? Soft brain. Dumb. Se tu scordasti l'ore fugaci, io non lo posso e voglio ancor, fra spasmi ardenti quei caldi baci che dona febbre. All right, so not my best, but better than that's ever gone. Previously, just wouldn't even go. Wouldn't even phonate on that note. It would just be a laryngeal twist up, destruction. What do I learn from that? That felt like too much air. Feels like maybe a little bit of fear. Like I don't know what I'm afraid of. To suck, or that it's going to explode, or whatever. Or I don't trust the new sensation yet. I'm so used to making space for this note, but instead don't make space. Just engage a little bit more. Well, let's see if I can take my own advice. But first, why don't we relax a little bit and have some Diet Coke? Today's episode of Voice Lab brought to you by Taste of Victory, drink of champions. Winning. All right, maestro, from Se tu scordasti. Ciò tu perché me l'hai dato. I like it down here. Ti voluta. Se tu scordasti l'ore fugaci, io non lo posso e voglio ancor, quei prasos ardenti, quei caldi baci, che danno febbre. All right, now. So far from perfect. I'll bet that sounds ugly as shit. But that G eventually, when I got there, less white noise, more together. With a live accompanist, orchestra, I like to think we would take a little bit of time there. Give me a little bit of time. So let's see what I think I did better there. There was less push here. There was more trust here. Less making of space and more singing. Just with the base level of effort to bring the folds together with air underneath them. I know that because I can feel the brilliance or be aware of the sound of the resonance that's in there. All right, let's put it all back together. And this time, I'm just not going to worry about keeping with this. I'm just going to blast through it. You know what? One more, just for victory. I think it helped. What if it just was like that? Se tu scordasti l'ore fugaci, io non lo posso e voglio ancor, fra spasmi ardenti quei caldi baci che danno febbre. And then we're going to switch to something that I can knock out of the park. Because ego and because I want to leave on a relaxed, good note. Or maybe we just shorten that phrase that I'm practicing. So instead of say tu scordarsi, io non la posso e voglio ancora fra spasmi ardenti. Fra spasmi ardenti quei caldi baci che tanta febbre. I lied when I said we we're going to do one more. That went better than I thought. All right, here's what I did not like about that. Que tanta and we want que tanta febbre. But other than that, signs look good. Io non posso fra spasmi ardenti quei caldi baci che tanta febbre m'han messo in cor. Just because we're here. Que tanta febbre. Now, woodshedding this. What would I think about? Good. I would think about each of these vowels closing, getting just a little bit narrower as we go up. Modifying a little bit. I'm not going to think too much about modifying. And of course, everything is connected here. And get the jaw down. Yawning breath. Relaxed. Still hitting it. Still disconnected. But didn't make a ton of space. That's good. It's like, doesn't have to be. It's like max effort lifts. I'm going to take a little bit of time in between each one. Okay. And then also, what if we thought, look, what are we doing in the music here? Move. Passion. Don't give yourself so much time to sit on each note and make a mountain out of it. It's on the febbre. Just go. It's on the febbre. M'han messo in cor. I don't know. Let's switch gears. Let's see how all of that goes on something I know very, very well that tests the other thing. How are we doing in the middle? Like this. I'm going to speed that up a little bit so Emil doesn't put her to sleep. Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. You may see a stranger across a crowded room. Now, I have not sung this with this new ideas of technique yet. So that feels a little bit close to how I used to be doing it, which is reliable, but definitely was like, oh, you're up here at the get a lot of space. Let's just, because we want to, it's something we want to get it right. So we want to be able to not get it wrong. some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. You may see a stranger across a crowded room. That was no space. And somehow you know even then, that somewhere you'll see her again and again. Some enchanted evening, someone may be laughing. You may hear her laughing across a crowded room. Toothpaste. And night after night, as strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Don't know what I did on sing, but nah. Let me open my mouth. Can't explain it. Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons. Wise men never try. Now that right there, hold on. That is a place where I'm like, I have lost the suction. So I'm just thinking about try from here up. I got so many miles on this piece for truly a decade. Let's see what happens when I remember to open my mouth. So I'm talking to Nelly. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons. Wise men never try. Some enchanted evening. Now right there, threw a little bit of space back there on enchanted, which is what I used to think every time I'd say that. I'm like, that's what I got to do to get that vowel to resonate in the line of this piece of text and this music. Going back. Who can explain it? Having the jaw down, anterior pelvic tilt, everything is turned on, and no space for enchanted. No space for enchanted. No space for try. Through to the end. Brought to you by DC. Hey, let me redeem that. As strange as it seems, the sound of her laughter will sing in your dreams. Who can explain it? Who can tell you why? Fools give you reasons. Wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find here's what we notice. Here's what I notice. When I take out that space, I get the engagement. The vibrato is faster and more natural, which is good. And I get that suction feeling, which tells me coordinated enough, got the right support. I am very indulgent, so I do want to carry that through. Fools give you reasons, wise men never try. Some enchanted evening, when you find your true love, when you feel her call you across a crowded room, then fly to her side, hey Nelly, and make her your own, or right, if I yell at you, if I just shout at you as loud as I can, will you be attracted to me? Dumb. Wilson. Or all through your life you may dream alone. Closer, but not there. I want to stay on the voice. Stay on the voice. Not have that little break, not have that little flutter and vibrato. All through your life you may dream alone. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never let her go. Oh, now that one's a new for all of this, so I know what I'm going for. We just got to commit more. Once you have found her, never let her go. Once you have found her, never let her go. Ah. Why not in one breath? When in doubt, what would Dmitri Forostovsky do?